So that leads me to the next question. Is it possible to eliminate the negative emotion, the dominant negative emotions completely? Is it
Absolutely.
that can make things work?
Absolutely. And that's something else I hear all the time is, how do I, people come to me and they say, oh, I've had this negative emotion my entire life. I've worked with 20 people. Nobody can help me get rid of it. What's your take on that? And, you're in the collective, so you're familiar with what we call the belief tree process.
Yeah.
So what I explain to people is the way emotions work is every emotion is rooted in a perspective, right? So if you have an emotion of not good enough, then there's an underlying belief that's fueling that emotion. So the way you identify that perspective is you ask that question, what must I believe is true to feel that way? Or I feel that way because. And when you do that, the very first thing that pops in your head, that's a perspective behind the emotion, right? So foundationally, that's how emotions work. So when somebody's not clearing something, it's about understanding that if a perspective fuels that emotion, if you can identify and invalidate that perspective, the emotion has to go away. And that's a little bit of a simple example because most emotions, underneath it, there's almost like that tree structure of perspectives. So you might have 5 different perspectives that are fueling that emotion, right? So when an emotion is not clearing, it's not because it's part of your DNA. It's not because you're born with it. It's not because it's stuck onto you like a tattoo. It's just because there's another underlying perspective that you haven't identified that needs to be released. And once you identify all of the perspectives under that negative emotion, once you release all of those perspectives, then the negative emotion has to go away.
Okay. So for how long does it take?
And that depends on the person. So for me, when I was doing one-on-one work, most clients, I would work with them for 3 months, and 90% of those 3 months, week after week, was clearing work. So, somebody who's 20 is going to have a lot less baggage than somebody who might be 65, right?
Yeah.
And somebody who's very closed up and afraid to feel their emotions, it's going to take a lot more work than somebody who's open and free and okay being vulnerable. So everybody's different. Everybody's got a unique thumbprint of those emotions, but typically most people have those 1 to 3 dominant ones, and shifting those dominant ones are usually enough to create a significant impact on their physical reality.
Okay.
Awesome. Great question so far. What's your next one?